This episode may contain bad language, mainly Bibline. Viewer discretion applied.
Good evening, Mags, and welcome to another episode of NUSS About That, the show where football insight is optional and nonsense is guaranteed, and Match of the Day still ain't returning our calls. Tonight I am joined by Marcus Wood,
Al Reid,
Blaine Murphy,
How we doing?
and the return of Go Pro Great.
Oi, oi, how's it going, guys?
Thanks, how you feeling? Welcome back.
Thanks very much. Yeah, thanks for having me back. Apologies for missing the last one. I got the man flu, so I was out of the game for a bit. So, yeah, back to normal. Glad to be back. Glad to put my rubbish insights into this, my poor chat into it. But yeah, here we go.
Have you back, and say Marcus and Blaine, welcome back. Let's get into it then. So straight into the usual spanking of Spurs, shall we say? 4-3-3 lineup. Was that how we were expecting it to go down, Marcus?
the lineup, yes, I don't think we really play a different formation. Maybe it's play a back five, but in terms of formation, definitely lineup, bit of a shock. I think going to that was raised a few eyebrows, but I think it paid off 100%. What about you, Blaine?
I was really, so again, I absolutely agree, Marcus. I think formation, it's always going to be 4-3-3 or it's the 3-4-3 but actually plays as a back five. So you only get really one of the two. But the names on the team sheet was, I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it. But again, hats off to him because actually, it really did work. There was aspects of the game. There was people playing in certain positions that, like, I think Gordon, for example, maybe never offered 100% of what you would get for a top striker, but he's closing down and the way he was able to target the two centre halves and make them sit back that wee bit further or make them play these passes showed that obviously Eddie had done his research.
Greg, was Gordon a surprise for you starting up top, or would you be expected to see Wissa or Big Nick on the team sheet?
Yeah, absolutely. When I saw the team sheet come out and I saw the 4-3-3 style formation, honestly thought, great, Eddie's done his homework. He knows how in dire straits Tottenham are in just now with all their injuries and players out just now at the moment. And it looked like as though he wanted to go for the throat. And when I saw Gordon on the sheet, I was like, you know what? I've never been a fan of Gordon up front. He can do a job there, but I was expecting Wissa to start to have that bit of pace as a striker in there. I was also expecting him to stick with Barnes and Gordon in the wings, is what he normally does. But to see him start Alanya again, and fair play, I think he got it right. He got it absolutely spot on because from the start, we started off on the front foot right away and put them under pressure right away, which was fantastic. So, yeah, I think he got the lineup absolutely spot on, knowing that whatever they throw at us, 4 defenders at back could probably handle it and just let the fast players go and do what they need to do.
We were aggressive from the start, Blaine, right? So did we come straight out the traps, very aggressive. Took us a little bit of time to get one on target, though, and actually kind of test the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and I think that's what's almost going to happen when you start Gordon up front. I think a frustration in the first half, despite the fact how dominant we were, seemed like we fired in a million crosses, and we're putting in crosses now when we've no got our 6'6" striker in the box, and it was like, this can't possibly be the game plan, is to get early crosses into the box when we've no got that striker who could be on the end of it. But I thought Alanga looked really sharp again, which he probably has done for, I'd probably even give him, say, he's probably looked quite sharp for around about a month or so now. I think what Gordon brung, which Big Nick Disney bring, is Voltemada sits centre and doesn't kind of move from that, maybe 10 years left, 10 years right, and he just sits at kind of centre stage as such. So that allows two defenders, two centre-halves to split, and it means that they could be involved in the opposition's build-up play, and it means that it gradually pushes us back a wee bit. Whereas with Gordon, it meant every time their centre-halves had the ball, they had somebody quick, speedy, trying to close them down quite a bit, and I think that's actually what benefited us. It'd be great if Gordon was actually able to finish or was more confident in shooting, because then how he closes down shows how great it could be. And I think it shows you that how much we relied on Isak doing that defensive closing down side as well as actually being able to finish. But definitely worked well.
You talked about getting the ball in the box there. So we had 6 corners in the first 18 minutes. We had 9 corners in the first half, and we had 12 in total. Now, I want to come back to you on a point on corners a bit later in the segment. I guess, do you agree? Do you think that we could have potentially had somebody up there like Big Nick getting on the end of those, or was it more a game for Wissa?
I think having Gordon was probably the right thing, because I think a lot of people thought Spurs were at home, they had a point to try and prove. I think most people thought they were probably going to try and push up high against us, and to have Alanga, Gordon and Bonds having that defence, looking at them three thinking, if we push 10-15 yards too far up this pitch, we're not catching many of them. Van de Ven probably would have caught them, but other than that, I mean, having 3 against 1 is not the kind of position that they were going to want to be in. But if you start and play Walter, the problem is you've got Alanga and Bonds, or Gordon if you drop Bonds, run down. Walter is going to be 20-30 yards behind where Gordon is, so Alanga's going to go bombing down. I mean, the crosses that he was putting in was the best I've seen him in a Newcastle shirt. I think his crossing was absolutely fantastic, but the problem that you've got, like I say, is Walter is just not going to be in the same positions that Gordon is. And then if you have Wissa, he's a foot and a half shorter, so you lose that height advantage, but you're getting a bit higher up the pitch. So I think if you were to get some kind of machine and put Gordon, Wissa and Walter into it and mangle them together and come out, I think you've got the perfect striker.
Yeah.
What about you, Taylor?
One of his players we spoke about previously was Joe Willock. And on the back of his goal, we asked if we could maybe see a bit of a different Joe Willock. Would he be going a bit of a run? Could we see a more confident Joe Willock? Were you impressed with Joe Willock's performance last night, Greg? And let's get to the goal as well.
Yeah. I think Willock's coming onto that game, especially in the last kind of 3-4 weeks. You can see Eddie's giving him game time, and he is progressing slowly but surely, becoming the type of player when he first came on loan to us, when he came from Arsenal. He's pacey. He's shown his pace at the moment, which is fantastic. He's shown that he's got a desire to get on the ball and prove a point that he should be on that team sheet every week, and he is showing that he can do it. As for the disallowed goal, it's don't know if I can say it. It's a ball here, absolute ball here. How they can get away with it is what it is. They drew the lines. If he had a haircut, it was a goal. You know what I mean?
He just had his hair trimmed before the game.
I've seen that, yeah. But no, I think Willock's actually earning his place at the moment. You've seen it now for the last 3-4 games now. He is desire to get on the ball and to win it and get into the final third. I think, yeah, he still needs to work on his final third a little bit and his final choice of pass or shoot or what do I do here, because he goes like a bit of a headless chicken sometimes to get to it, but then his final bit can be sometimes be a bit not the best choice. But that just comes with confidence and form, doesn't it?
Thought last night with Willock, the first half he was getting forward, he was great, he was always looking at opportunities to try and get forward. Second half it dropped off a bit, but I thought he was defensively pretty good and pretty sound as well. Would you agree with that, Blake?
Yeah, I think he was fantastic, and he probably has been for weeks. Something I picked up on, I don't know if anybody else has maybe noticed about his past as well as his present, but I seem to think that he plays better with, for example, an individual and somebody who he has a great chemistry with. And I think that showed previously with him and Isak, the amount of times that they used to link up really well. Whereas I actually noticed it with Jacob Ramsey yesterday. And I don't know if it's because they've maybe spent a lot of time, they're round about the same age, they've probably settling together, they've probably built that bit of friendship, but they spent a lot of time on the bench together for the first 15, 16 to 18 games of the season. But if you noticed, it was like, say, Ramsey's pass through, he knew where he was going to be. When Ramsey scored, Willock was like one of the first to kind of come over and congratulate him and arms in the air. And I just wonder if that bond between the two of them is actually bringing out the best in them, because they maybe spend a wee bit of time together, and I feel as though that's when Willock raises his game. And another thing I thought about today as well is, we're talking about potentially selling Willock. Listen, I know it's just a few games. We're talking about potentially selling Willock, and we would have took 20 million. Is what we probably would have agreed with in January. You get to the summer, could you replace better than how he's performing at the moment for 20 million, Taylor?
20 million, and I think we're above 20 million for him as well, right? I think the figure that we're potentially looking for would have been somewhere north of 25. I think then if somebody come bidding that, it was a decision for the club to make. Who makes that decision though, right? Is it Eddie that makes that decision, or is it is it Ross Wilson that makes it? 25 million, I think, if you can get a fit Joe Willock, because we know how, we spoke about it before, how good a ball carrier he is. He's got that energy. If we think there's potentially a wee bit of a bromance forming and he's going to build a bit of a chemistry with Ramsey, both still young lads, could that be a different version of our midfield, because the midfield's so heavily been set on Tonali, Joe Linton and Bruno, and that's been the kind of drive and the focus and the emphasis of it. You maybe see Miley creeping in there as a substitute appearance and stuff as well. Joe Willock's been there, but he's always been injured or he's been in and out. So, yeah, I think it gives us a definite different dynamic having somebody like Joe Willock in there with Ramsey. So I like to look at that. I wouldn't be in such a rush to sell him at the minute. Let's see how he gets on with the rest of the season. Let's see what we're like active-wise in the transfer market as well. Marcus, let's get to the goal. Alec Chow rising above everybody and also being the first to respond to it. Was he the first name you were putting down on the team sheet when you were seeing it for first goal scorer?
No, I mean, he's, in fairness to him, the guy's been there or thereabouts a few times this season. He's come up with some big goals, and I think it's still early doors, but I think you're starting to see the early shoots of this set piece coach that we managed to get in the summer. It's kind of not scoring as regularly as I would have liked from corners, but there's a few times where it's there or thereabouts. You can see that we're slowly starting to have a bit more confidence when it's the corners are coming in. And yeah, you can tell that they're just looking up. And I mean, we've got height advantage over most teams with Walter Modder when he plays, Dan Burn, Malik Chow. I mean, we're a big, tall, physical team, and I think it's quite intimidating for a lot of players.
So interesting you mentioned Mark Martin there. So he's our very first ever set piece specialist, and we got him from Midland, as you say, in the summer. And I think he spent about 3.5 years in a similar role with them, working on set pieces. Before that, we had Mad Dog. I think Stephen Purchase was involved as well, and Kieran Taylor kind of supported with those set pieces. Now, when we talked, as I mentioned earlier on about the corners, we had 9 corners in that first half, 12 in total. Against Liverpool, it was a similar outcome. First half, we had 11 corners in the game, and 8 of them coming in the first half. We're generally starting explosive against these teams, getting a lot of corners and stuff. Are we getting the right results? How are we getting on with these goals from set pieces? Because I don't think we are making enough of them. When you've got guys like Chow, Burn there, big Nick Voltamedi when he's on the pitch as well. We have got height and physicality within that team. Should we be making more of our corners? Or is Mark Martin getting the best out of the players in terms of set pieces? What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I think we can get more out of it, absolutely. I think what probably our biggest set piece threat is Dan Burn when it comes to corners or free kicks into the box, because he's such a big target and he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. But the problem is, with him being our biggest threat, he gets marked instantly. He's got 2 or 3 players around him marking him all the time. I think Malik Chow is obviously a good threat to be up there as well. I'm not that convinced yet on Walter Madda, to be honest with you. I'm honestly not convinced on Walter Madda. What's that now? Is that 14 games he's had and he's not scored yet? He's not scored in the last 14 games, I think it is. For a big guy, yeah, I don't think he knows he's how to position himself to get ready for a header goal. He scored a couple of headers at the start for us, but I don't know if it's a confidence thing at the moment for what's happening with him, and I don't know if that's why if Eddie's not playing him when it comes against in certain games. But yeah, I do think that having Dan Burn, I'd say he is our biggest threat when it comes to set pieces. But I do feel we should be making more of it, especially like you say, if we're putting 8 corners in the first half, and then on top of that, any free kicks that are going in there as well. Is that a problem with the delivery? Is that a problem with the position of the players, how we're attacking the ball in the box? That's something that obviously the set piece coach that needs to work on, I think. Needs to get the best out of these players.
Let's not forget, we've got Big Botman as well, right? Big Botman's a presence. And I actually thought Botman was really good as well, when needed, actually, because Spurs were only going to kind of be a threat on that counter-attack. When the boy Tell come on as well, you got the pace, the explosivity to kind of break through. I thought Botman dealt with it brilliantly. I thought he was really clean in some of his tackles and just really cool, calm and composed. And yeah, I just think he adds that physical presence as well. Lads, we're going to take a very short break at this point, and when we come back, we will talk about the second half.
This episode is proudly supported by TMA Accountants, based across Dundee and Fife. TMA specialise in helping businesses, the self-employed, and individuals stay on top of their accounts, tax affairs, and long-term tax planning. With offices in Broughty Ferry and Anstruther, their team covers everything from bookkeeping and payroll to tax advice and business support, freeing up your time so you can focus on what actually moves your business forward. So whether you're running a growing company or juggling self-employed life, TMA Accountants are here to help you stay organized, compliant, and confident. We're delighted to have them backing the podcast and supporting the wider community.
Fleming & Gibson Plumbing and Heating are your trusted experts for plumbing, heating, electrical, and renewable energy solutions. From emergency repairs to full boiler installations, their accredited team delivers quality workmanship that you can rely on. They offer complete bathroom design and installation from their dedicated showroom for a reliable service, modern renewables, and work done right first time. Choose Fleming & Gibson, accredited, compliant, and trusted.
And welcome back. So before the break there, lads, we were obviously talking about the first half. We went in with the lead at the break. Not too long though before Archie Gray levelled. They didn't level for long though. It just took 4 minutes before Anthony Gordon started dancing through the Spurs defence, hitting a beautiful ball. Jacob Ramsey, who we just spoke about, was there to finish it. Marcus, give us your take on the goal, buddy.
Really well taken, I think. He's should try and find a bit more of a freedom now. I think he had that kind of that he's always trying to do the right thing, but just never really fell for him. But I think it was a really, really well taken goal. Instinct to sweep it into the corner. Yeah, I think it was and if you're going to score a first goal, I think that's a very good confidence building one. You know, he didn't have any time, so it'll back up his instinct. You know, his trust on his instincts.
I think he had a chance in the first time as well. It was kind of similar chance where he kind of sweeped at it, right? He was trying that kind of almost sweeping shot. Was that why Gordon was on the pitch though last night, Blaine? Was for that dancing delight?
I think so. I think like Gordon's position was kind of that false 9, so it allowed him to kind of drop that wee bit deeper and hopefully have the legs to Ramsey and Willock, as well as Barnes and Alanga running beyond him. But listen, Ramsey was phenomenal, absolutely brilliant. Everything that he does, his wee links and 1-2s with Bruno looked brilliant. It's looked as though they'd played with each other for years. I've said for ages that Ramsey's too good not to get there in regards to watching him at Villa. And honestly, I think what he's doing, even the other week, he played more as a 6 and allowed Tonali to play as 8. So he's got that wee bit. I expected him to kind of be the 6 again. But I think he done a wee bit of an interview at the end of the day and said that Eddie's asked him to try and get more goal involvement, so that obviously showed quite a bit as well. But honestly, I thought he was brilliant. It's so refreshing to see that midfield three that actually had legs to go forward. They weren't kind of stagnated. Previously, the likes of Joe Winton's got that physicality. Tonali likes to sit deep, and then Bruno felt as though he had to do everything. Whereas I think with obviously Ramsey, Willock and Bruno, there wasn't the onus on just the one. And actually, Bruno was probably the worst of the three of them, and yet he still played fairly decent. So I think it's refreshing to have that extra kind of amount of legs in midfield that's only going to kind of push forward.
I was really impressed with their movement in the middle. So the way that kind of three of them kind of almost moved in triangular diamond patterns, if you like. So it was almost reminiscent of the old school. Remember Brendan Rodgers was at Swansea? He had like Nathan Dyer and all that. He had Mishu and stuff like that kicking about. Like that was a big thing back then, was that kind of triangular diamond system where the interlooped. I thought it was reminiscent of that last night. I thought the three of them looked really good together, considering they've not had that much game time together. I thought they looked like they'd been at it for ages. Side who were ravaged with injuries. Do we feel any kind of sense of empathy for Thomas Frank? Kind of about 10, 11 boys out, and he's lost his job on the back of the annual scalping from Newcastle. Can we share any empathy for Thomas Frank?
I would, because I don't think it's nice having seen any manager lose their job, especially with what's going on just now at the club. There's something happening at Tottenham in the background, especially with obviously the issues that's happening with Romero. The way his personality might be clashing with him. There's something going on there. Like you say, there's all these injuries and players out. So yeah, it's not nice to see a manager get sacked, because at the end of the day, the last few weeks we've been calling for Eddie's head. People have been calling for Eddie's head, and it's not as if the results have been that bad. There's been a few bad results or not great results, but you get the people calling for Eddie's head. So yeah, I would have a little bit of sympathy for him. Although I'm not a big fan of Tottenham. I'm glad to see Tottenham get beat, but at the end of the day, I would say a bit. But it's a bit. Give the guy at least a good few more months, I'd say. Let him get some of his squad back fit again, and then see what he could do.
For me personally, it should be a potential reminder for folks as to, you look at the merry-go-round some other clubs, Nottingham Forest as well, and Sean Dyche go on the back of those. Well, statistically, Nottingham Forest highest performing manager, I think, as well, out the last bunch that he's fired.
Yeah,
That's definitely not what we want to become as a club. And I get that folks have got different views and different opinions on Eddie, and they're totally entitled to that. But as a fan base and as a club and a supporters group, I think we need to get behind the team. We need to get behind the gaffer and need to give them that encouragement and that support, and that be that 12th man, and just drive it over the line, particularly when we're at home as well. So that's Spurs, lads. 3 points up to 10th. Let's turn our focus to Saturday and the FA Cup. We are up against Villa. Villa, who I think is struggling a little bit at the minute as well. Seeing some of the kind of fans talking online at the minute, they feel they're maybe a little bit of flat as well. What's our predictions? What's our thoughts? How are we feeling about the cup game at the weekend, Blaine?
Don't know, Villa's a tough side. Villa's a great side. See, if we had, I know it never went according to plan this time, but us and Villa seem to be whoever's at home, they win. And that's just the kind of way that us and Villa seem to perform over the last few seasons. We scalp them at home, they scalp us away. And that's the way it seems to go. I know you're saying about Villa maybe struggling at the minute, but they are still grinding out results. And I think that's maybe where we've not quite done the same as before the last season or a couple of seasons ago. We could have played badly and still grinded out a result. Whereas if we play badly at the moment, we get beat by a couple of goals. Like Sevilla won the other night again, so they're third, 50 points. They're only 9 points behind Arsenal, 3 behind Man City. But if Jacob Ramsey was to score a goal before any game, you would have wanted him to score the other night, because he's going back to Villa where he got a wee bit of stick when he played in the home game. So hopefully that's a confidence booster and he's there to get up them, and hopefully we'll get through. But I'm expecting an extremely, extremely tough game.
Speaking of confidence, so Emery's talking at the minute about Villa. They're struggling for a little bit of confidence. Us getting that win at Spurs as well, we're somewhere where we've struggled on the road previously. Getting that win, does that do a little bit for our confidence as well? Douglas Luiz has rejoined him since we last played as well. I think he played most of the game the other night as well. He looked lively. Is there any players that you think we need to pay particular attention to, Marcus? So just before I bring you in, and any thoughts on this, one of the standout things for me in the last time we played was Emery's ability to kind of look at the game, analyse it and make instant changes. And he went with the 2 10s and Buendia and Morgan Rogers. And I think that really, really hurt us. Do you think Eddie will be more prepared for it this time?
Yes. I think Eddie likes to look at previous games that he's played against them, lessons that could be learned, ways to try and break that up, especially if there's partnerships. Who can he put in there to try and break it up? But I also think that it's a difficult one to see what Villa might do for this, because they are trying to push for the league, but they are struggling. So I think they'll probably try and field the strongest team. And I think Morgan Rogers has got to be the one person that we need to try and focus on. But then, like I say, we've done that at the last game, and then Buendia turned up and stole the show. I think they do have a lot of quality going around. I think Matty Cash might be injured. I think that's probably going to be a big help for us, especially the likes of Alanga and what have you. He's a good man marker. He's not afraid to get up and down the pitch, put a good cross in. So that'll be maybe an area to think about. Yeah. What about you, Blaine?
I like the idea. I think actually you're right with the 2 10s. I think that did really hurt us the last time. And I think our midfield three, I think it was, were we Bruno Tonali and
Joe
at that time. And I don't think they three have performed anywhere near the performances of the likes of last season. So I think if we are going for a Willock, a Ramsey and a Bruno, for example, if you look at the names on paper compared to the three that played in the home game, it's maybe not as strong, but actually on current performances and current form, I would say that's a stronger midfield three, and it's going to provide the legs covering back and catching the 10s when they're breaking, but also pushing forward as that 8-10 hybrid that we need to get forward as well. So I think it'll be a totally different game to the home game, and it'll be a battle in the midfield, and whoever wins that battle will win the game. But we need to also keep like Watkins quiet. Watkins comes out when it's Newcastle. He must have a great night's sleep. He must be tucked in bed with his cuddly teddies thinking, oh, I'm playing them no more. It's guaranteed a goal. Because it always seems to happen, especially at Villa Park.
You say a battle of the midfield three, and I think you're absolutely right. I think the game will be won in the midfield. But actually, when it comes to Aston Villa, when it comes to Newcastle, when it comes to Eddie Howe, when it comes to Unai Emery, I actually think there's a big battle off the pitch as well. I actually see it as like an actual chess match between these two guys that'll be sitting up all night thinking about what the other one's going to be doing, playing out varying scenarios. I think they're brilliant tacticians in their own respects. And I think, yeah, maybe the league table's not kind of comparing us at the minute, but I think in terms of where we're at as clubs, I think we're pretty much on kind of similar levels and stuff. So it's set to be an interesting game. Dare I ask you for your predictions? Blaine.
There's no replay, so there has to be a winner. No idea on the score, but Newcastle sneak through. 1-1.
Greg?
Yeah, I'd say a sneak through as well. I would go for... It's a tough one because, like I say, Villa are a potential banana skin for us every time we play them. Ollie Watkins, as Blaine was saying, he must wake up on the day of a game with us and just start wearing these golden slippers because he doesn't need to wear anything else on his feet, because the boy could just turn up and just put a ball in the back of the net against us. I think it'll be 2-1 us. I think Villa will take the lead and we'll come back and get 2.
Marcus.
Optimistically, I think we'll go through on penalties. Realistically, I don't know. I think this might be a game that's a bit too far for her. So I think we'll probably get beat 2-1.
Shocking.
That's a beauty of football and the difference of opinions.
Somebody has to say it.
Do you know what? See, touching on that, and I know that you're saying it's a game too far, but actually, if you look at the next game beyond, is it the Karabag away from home? So he could, in theory, go absolutely full gunnel, full strength this weekend and take a slightly weaker squad over to Karabag, because you would hope that they could still get a result over there, but also we've got the home tie to think about as well. So I would be all guns blazing for the weekend, because, Christ, imagine winning the FA Cup and then relaxing for during the week, because I've got faith in the second string.
Yeah.
Would you
always
rather
gonna
win the
show
FA
that
Cup or
game.
the Champions League, though?
Say that again?
Would you rather win the Champions League or the FA Cup, though?
Hey, you would always want to win the Champions League, but we've got more chance of winning the FA Cup. We'll progress in Champions League, I get that, but we've got more chance of winning the FA Cup.
I don't know. I could see us doing Chelsea over 2 legs if we get past Qarabag, which we're assuming we will.
I think we could.
I could see us doing Chelsea over 2 legs. Then you're on the road, right? It's like, right, actually we are running by a shout with this here. So do we just go all guns a blazing at it as well? You can only do one game at a time. Eddie will just be focusing on Villa, but I think he will. You're right, Blaine. I think he will have an eye on next week and who's getting on that plane and who he can maybe afford to rest for that game.
Because you think about it, it's 2,500 miles. So it's a long journey. It's a long trip. And then when you come back, we've got City, haven't we? In between. And then we're thankfully got the home game. He's going to have to rest players. He's going to have to rotate the squad a little bit between the next 4 games, I think.
Keep our fingers and toes crossed that we're successful on off fronts, and that's what it's all about, right? And the guys are just going to need to just pull their socks up and play a few more extra games. You want to play with the big boys and win the big trophies, and that's what you need to do. You need to win the games, and you need to go for a long season. Before we finish up tonight, lads, we are going to have Blaine's fantasy football.
The Fantasy Football Breakdown with Blaine.
Right, so how are we doing in regards to fantasy? Big game going on at the moment in regards to Arsenal. Are currently drawn 1-1 with Brentford. So a lot of people were doing triple captains on the likes of an Arsenal defender. So that's not working out very well for us at the moment. Some of us, no pointing at anybody in particular, took a gamble on Noni Madueke, triple captain this week, and he scored for Arsenal in the game currently at this moment. However, enough about what I've picked. Well done to Manager of the Month, which was Norman Mackay. So well done, and I'm sure your trophy will be arriving soon. Let me see what it looks like, because I've absolutely no chance of winning one, so it'd be great to see what they look like. And then, as normal, we've still got obviously our existing leaders, which is Rob, who's been top for the majority of the season, followed by another Rob, and then Nick Horsfield is currently third at the moment. But just keep your eyes obviously on Wednesday's fixture as well. That is Arsenal versus Wolves, which is still tied to this game week, which is the reason for the double game week for Arsenal only. So it should be good and interesting, and hopefully there'll be a lot of points gained.
Thank you for the update, and congratulations, Norman, who I believe won Manager of the Month last year as well. I think he might have won it in February last year. I think he's won it a month early this year. So he's got last year's version of the trophy and the new updated version of it this year of the highly sought after NUSS trophy. I could actually show you what one looks like, Blaine. Funny you mentioned that. So here is last year's Manager of the Month.
Your cameras went off, mate. Your cameras went off.
I'll be dining out on this for many years to come. But yeah, that's what they look like, Blaine. Here's what you could win potentially if you get your act together for the rest of the season.
if you cast your mind back, I think it was actually down to me, you, and somebody else who was in for that manager of the month, which makes it worse.
Captain. It was no, it wasn't table captain. It was a captain, Cole Palmer, and did he not score like 4 goals or something in the first half? And I think he messages us and says, "Congratulations, like you'd conceded before the games were finished." But yeah, that was a really tough battle and brilliant. That's what the fantasy football's all about. A good bit of crack and
Definitely. But it'd be great for Norman if he's willing to send a wee picture into you showing last year's trophy and this year's trophy. And we could even do a wee flash display on the next podcast when we talk about fantasy football.
speaking of the next show, make sure you join us on Monday night because we have a special episode lined up for you at the request of one of our viewers. So on Monday night, you are going to have the NUSS Super 6 draft, the ultimate six-a-side football team of Newcastle past and present legends, as requested by you. So make sure you tune in for that. And if you want to see anything on one of our episodes going forward, then make sure to like and subscribe and to get it in the comments. Lads, as always, a massive, massive thank you for your time and your analysis tonight and your honest views, as always, massively appreciated. Greg, thank you very much. Marcus, thank you. Blaine, thank you very much. And to you for watching the show, massive thank you. Away, the lads and lasses.
See you later.